My name is Chris O'Leary, and I'm a survivor of the Catholic sex abuse crisis. And I've returned to the scene of the crime to talk about Timothy Cardinal Dolan and his involvement in my abuse. In the late 1970s, early 1980s, here at the Church of the Immacolata in Richmond Heights, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis, I was sexually exploited, abused, assaulted, raped by Father LeRoy Valentine, a known predator priest. What's worse, my sexual abuse was witnessed, at least in part, by then Father, now Cardinal Timothy Dolan. He was a parish priest here at Immacolata from 77 to 79, and he overlapped with my abuser, Father Valentine, Father LeRoy Valentine, for 2 years. And 40 years ago, I was making this walk to serve Mass with Father Valentine, after which I'd participate in what was characterized in what I've come to regard as special training, where essentially Father Valentine would tell us, he would teach us a bunch of stuff and tell us a bunch of stuff that he shouldn't be telling us, but he knew that because we were so mature that we could handle it. And at the same time that he would do that to us, he used that as a ruse to sexually exploit, abuse, and assault us in the back of the Church of the Immacolata here in Richmond Heights, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis, just up the hill from the St. Louis Galleria Mall, Clayton Road behind me, the rectory behind me. So essentially what happened on the worst day was I walked up to serve Mass with Father Valentine, walked this exact path, walked into the back of the rectory behind me, through that door, into the back of the church, into the sacristy. Did the special training with Father Valentine, and then ended up going into the basement of the rectory of the Church of the Immacolata, through that door by the air conditioners on the side of the rectory, and was sexually abused, sexually assaulted, raped by Father Valentine. And the worst part is that then Father, now Cardinal Timothy Dolan, who was a fellow priest at Immacolata, who overlapped with Father Valentine, my abuser, Father LeRoy Valentine, at Immacolata from 1977 to 1979, when then Father, now Cardinal Timothy Dolan, went to D.C. to the Catholic University, I think it was. Father, now Cardinal Dolan, knew what was going on, at least to some degree. Father Dolan knew some of what Father Valentine was doing to us, and nothing changed. I don't know whether he did anything or not, whether Father Dolan did anything. All I know is that nothing changed. And what's so difficult about that for me is that I was one of the younger guys. In 77, I would have been in 4th grade, wouldn't even have been an altar server. I would have just been a 4th grader in the church, not serving yet, not yet vulnerable. But Father Valentine was already doing things to the guys who were altar servers. But had Father, now Cardinal Dolan, done something, nothing would have happened to me. But instead, I don't know what Dolan did, but nothing changed. Nobody ever did anything about Valentine. Nobody did anything to Valentine. And this is despite the fact that I know for a fact that Monsignor Flavin, our pastor, was told by Sister Helen about problematic behavior here in the gym at Immacolata, that the things that Father Valentine was doing to the after-school kids, almost immediately upon arriving at Immacolata, Father Valentine would teach kids how to wrestle and was dressed inappropriately, was dressed what some people have said was ridiculously. And all of this was seen by Father, now Cardinal Timothy Dolan, and I don't know what he did. I don't know if he told Monsignor Flavin. All I know is that nothing changed. And the reason that I know that Father Dolan, now Cardinal Dolan, knew some of what was going on is that Father Valentine didn't even try to hide things from the people at Immacolata and from the other churches. So Father, now Cardinal Dolan, lived together with Father Valentine and Monsignor Flavin in the rectory at Immacolata over my shoulder. The three of them lived together, at least the three of them lived and worked together, as Dolan told me in 2002. And Father Valentine would have parties for us. I remember attending a party in the rectory at Immacolata when I was a fourth grader with three other guys. I always remembered it as RB, TM, and AM were the other guys at the party. And from what I understand, that was not the only party that Father Valentine held. And at the same time that Father Valentine was holding these pizza parties in the rectory, it's actually the kitchen that you can see over my shoulder here. We would have pizza and drink real Coke in the rectory. At the same time, Father Dolan, Monsignor Flavin would be around and would see at least some of what Father Valentine was doing to us and with us. And a lot of it started with wrestling. Wrestling was, they used the word grooming, but really I think of it more as testing. Father Valentine would test us using wrestling and use wrestling to test guys and figure out who was oblivious to what he would do to us, how he would touch us, and who didn't like it. And that's essentially how Valentine figured out who to groom. And the thing is that Father, now Cardinal Timothy Dolan, Tim Dolan, knew at least some of that was going on. He knew about the wrestling because it was happening at the same time that Dolan was in the rectory. It happened at the same time that Flavin was in the rectory. It happened in the kitchen, which is just over my shoulder in the rectory. That's where the kitchen is, right there. And that's the worst part, because Dolan saw at least some of what was being done to us, and all I know is that nothing changed. You know, that happened to me. The pizza party happened to me when I was a fourth grader. Other stuff happened in the church during face-to-face confession, and nothing changed. You know, I was tested and groomed in fourth grade. The assault, the stuff that happened in the church didn't happen until fifth grade or so. But if Father, now Cardinal Dolan, had intervened then, nothing would have happened to me. There were guys who were being sexually abused in 77 at the start. You know, one of the things that Valentine did for me this is probably more during the grooming process than after the testing process, is that Valentine would bring me up to his room there in the rectory of the Church of the Immacolata here in St. Louis. And Dolan lived on the same floor. He lived, I don't remember if his room was next door or across the hall, but you had Valentine, Dolan, and Flavin all living together in close quarters in the rectory of the Church of the Immacolata. And Valentine would bring guys up to his room for haircuts. I don't remember exactly what the excuse was, but I think it was haircuts that he used with me. I have this thing about my hair. Whenever it gets longer, I get creeped out, which is I don't just get hot, I get creeped out. It's because of things that happened in the rectory of the Church of the Immacolata, things that then Father, now Cardinal Timothy Dolan, saw and turned a blind eye to. I remember seeing Dolan when I was with Valentine in Valentine's room, and one of the reasons I didn't think that what was happening to me was a big deal was because of the reaction of Father Dolan. I didn't know what to think about what Father Valentine was doing to me, the way he was, the way with one hand he would play with my hair and the other hand would be down there. Touching me in more. But I did know that the reaction, or the lack of a reaction, by Father Dolan gave me the sense that this wasn't a big deal. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't say anything, and one of the reasons why things got worse, and why I was put in a position where, as the years went by, I would be sexually exploited and abused and assaulted ultimately by Father Valentine. If Cardinal Dolan had only done anything, even the bare minimum, how different would my life be? And that's what makes Cardinal Dolan's appearance at the Republican National Convention tomorrow night so horrible for me, especially given the RNC's embrace of the QAnon phenomenon, which is really just a scam. If the Republican Party is waging a secret war against child sexual abuse, then why would they have someone like Timothy Cardinal Dolan, who, when he was just Father Dolan, here at the Church of the Immacolata in St. Louis, why would they have Timothy Cardinal Dolan speak to the RNC? Why would they have a man who could turn a blind eye to the sexual abuse of children speak to the Republican National Convention? That doesn't make any sense. It's insane. And I think it shows just how deeply and how horribly the Trump presidency has affected and infected the Republican Party. To have a man like Timothy Cardinal Dolan, who could turn a blind eye to the sexual abuse of children, and worse, speak at the RNC. I don't understand how that can be. It's completely insane and horrible and of Satan.